Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. We're going to continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 17. Hope you all had a good Ekadashi yesterday.
Yes, by the
Everyone's okay.
mercy. Yeah, Krishna's mercy.
Krishna's mercy, I know, right?
Yeah.
Grateful to Krishna. Very good. Thank you. So before we start reading today's verse, would anyone like to recap what we read yesterday?
If Rashmi auntie or Ratna want to say, otherwise I will say. I'm waiting. If they want to say, they can say first.
आंटी रश्मि, आपको कुछ कहना है? कल क्या सुन रहे थे? या रत्ना, आपको कुछ कहना है?
हरे कृष्णा। नेहा ही बताए। नेहा, you
अच्छा,
can
नेहा
go.
बात, ठीक है नेहा, आप
She will explain. Yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna. What we read was that Sukdev Goswami ji is telling that Parikshit Maharaj, after being cursed by Pārvatī ji, who detected pride in him, and that's why she punished, she detected the pride, and that's why she cursed. So after that, Parikshit Maharaj got down from the plane. He was in the plane, and then he got down.
1 minute. Sorry. Neha, it's Chitraketu, not Parikshit.
Sorry, Parikshit. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why Parikshit Maharaj came into it. I'm sorry. So Chitraketu Maharaj got down, and then he folded his hands and he offered obeisances, and he was not angry. Very humbly he bowed down, and then he started speaking, and he accepted the curse. He said that I accept the curse, it doesn't matter, and I'm not angry. He accepted the curse, and he said that it is all because of his last birth or karmas. Purva janma ke karmo ke wajah se ye sab hua hai. So very as a pure devotee, he accepted it, and then he said that laws of karma are there, and Krishna appoint different demigods to give us our karma. And he knew that his heart is clean, and so it's due to the past karma. And he's particularly showing us tatte anukampa susumikshamana, how we can be practically behaving. And he's not cross-questioning that, oh, why did this happen, or why I'm getting this reaction. He's simply accepting the will of the Lord. And that is important point, that devotee is tolerant. And he understands that it's his past result and deeds, and that he's getting the reactions from, and he does not hold anyone responsible. And he sees Krishna's mercy, and and we cannot get deeper. And then at these situations, we can get deeper shelter of Krishna. Wherever there is distress and we get purified, the result is that the purification is there. And so one may say that he's a pure devotee and how his past deeds, but it is all the karmas are burnt. And it is Krishna's mercy. And then we saw that pure devotional service begins from liberation platform. So liberation means that he's free from his karma, and his karmas just went away by devotional service. And a pure devotee is not doing devotional service for any result. He does not have any result. He is engaged for the pleasure of Krishna only. And Prabhupada explains that a devotee is tolerant, and he's not bothered about external, whether in hell or in heaven, he's put anywhere, he's not distressed. And his only goal is that he wants to go back to Godhead. And Krishna personally, you also mentioned that Krishna personally takes charge of the devotee, and laws of nature does not impact him. And so a devotee can come quickly to him. So that was the reason that Krishna did it, so that Chitraketu Maharaj can come quickly to him, and he could get the results, he could bear the results of his past deeds quickly, and then he would come back to him quickly. And then how a devotee acts, we learn from here, that how Chitraketu Maharaj says that we are simply instruments in the hand of Krishna. And because of the false ego, we sometimes think that I am the doer. But because we are bound by the modes, we act accordingly. And that is the false ego. So we are wandering in different planets, in the 8,004,000 species, and we want to get out of this. And bhakti is the only way to get out of it. There is no other way. And if one wants liberation, one wants to understand that I am spiritual, he should take shelter of Krishna. He should do bhakti. And Chitraketu Maharaj is accepting the reversals, and he's having no reactions. Like no reaction in the sense that he's not angry, he's not questioning, he's not doing anything. And when we are happy, we say that because of me, I found this. And when bad things happen, then we blame on others. But the truth is, because of ignorance, we think that we are the doer. And our ignorance is also in the different degrees we read, that we may be less ignorant than others, but we are ignorant. And so then what is the point? Then Prabhupada says that mode of ignorance is there. And one can't come directly to transcendental platform. So slowly and gradually one can come towards the goodness. And from there, one can transcend to transcendental platform and understand his position of his self and others, and that we are the part and parcel of Krishna. And all material nature is Krishna. And everything is happening under his will. So we are acting on the base of our desires. And so we are suffering because of our own actions. So in the end, we read that every situation is temporary, but we got so caught up. Bhakti Vinod Thakur said that we got so caught up in it that we are just like waves and we are flowing, and so everything is happening. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur explains that, he says that, why are you getting caught up in this happiness and distress and all these situations? Just understand that you are eternal servant of Krishna. That is your position. And there will be no suffering at all. And or surrendered. And then you are a surrendered soul. And there is no effect and cause on you. There is no karma result on you. And then this material world is a place of miseries. Like as you said, that the salt mine. So you also gave an example of the salt. We also read about the example of the salt mine, that if you go into the salt mine, then you will always experience salt. And so this material world is a place of miseries. And here we are just going to suffer only. But we under our ignorance enjoy, and we think that we enjoy. When one comes to his senses, then he understands. Example like how you mentioned about the camel chewing his own thorns, and they taste very sweet to him, but it's the blood. It is not, thorns are not sweet, but it's the blood. And then he understands his relationship with Krishna, and then happiness and distress, how he should be equipoised in both the situations, like happiness or distress. He should just let it, he shouldn't be caught into that. It should be like a flow of the waves, that it just comes and goes. So he should be tolerant in every situation, and he should just take shelter, stronger shelter of Krishna. And then one very beautiful point you mentioned, that Durga Devi is like a nanny and Krishna is like your mother. So like either you are in the hands of your nanny or you want to be in the lap of your mother. So just take stronger shelter of Krishna and be tolerant. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was a good recap. Thank you. About the salt mine was that yeah, wherever you go, even if you go to heavenly planets, we may think we'll enjoy, but yet because it's the material world, it's still suffering there, you know. That was the example of the salt mine. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So going on to 21, Ekasrajati Bhutani.
Ekasrajati Bhutani.
Bhagavan Atma Mayaya.
Bhagavan Atma Mayaya.
Esham Bandham Cha Moksham Cha.
Esham Bandham Cha Moksham Cha.
Sukham Dukkham Cha Nishkalaha.
Sukham Dukkham Cha Nishkalaha.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, unaffected by the conditions of the material world. He creates all the conditioned souls by his own personal potency. Because of being contaminated by the material energy, The living entity is put into ignorance and thus into different conditions of bondage. Sometimes by knowledge, the living entity is given liberation. In Sattvagun and Rajogun, he is subjected to happiness and distress. The question may be raised why the living entities are situated in different conditions and who has arranged this. The answer is that it has been done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead without anyone's help. Because Krishna, he is creating, maintaining, and highlighting this entire cosmic manifestation by himself. People may think that the demigods are doing it, but he is appointing the demigods. But he has arranged, he is the one who's created the demigods also. He's the one who set up this whole system. He is made that, okay, this demigod is going to do this, the sun is going to be here, the moon is going to be there. You know how we read earlier. So, and nobody's helped him. It's just by himself. You know, we take up a project and we take on different people's help. But Krishna is not taking anyone's help. He's doing it himself. The Lord has his own energies, Parasya Shakti Vividheva Shruyate. And one of them, namely the external energy, creates the material world and the varieties of happiness and distress for the conditioned souls under the supervision of the Lord. The material world consists of three modes of material nature, Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. So Krishna has created this world. He's created the three modes. These are the material modes of nature. And we conditioned souls, why? Because we are in the body, so we are being called conditioned. We are conditioned by the modes. We are controlled by the modes. Everything is happening. So Durga Devi is in charge, but everything is happening under Krishna's supervision. Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti. Again, if we take the example of the mother and the nanny. So the mother gives the strict instructions to the nanny. You do like this, like this, like this, like this. You know, nanny cannot act out of her own way and then behave in a certain way. She'll be fired. So she has to follow the orders of the mother. So Krishna, he gives the rules to Durga Devi. So by Sattvagun, the Lord maintains the material world. By Rajogun, he creates it. And by Tamogun, he annihilates it. After the varieties of living entities are created, they are subject to happiness and distress according to their association. When they are in Sattvagun, the mode of goodness, they feel happiness. When in Rajogun, they are distressed. And when in Tamogun, they have no sense of what to do or what is right and wrong. So here we are understanding that it is under the modes of nature that we are experiencing happiness, distress, and completely delusion or ignorance. So which guna is the one for happiness?
Sattvagun.
And what happens in Rajogun?
In Rajogun, there is passion. We want to do activity.
And that leads to dukkha. That's right. Dukkha, distress. Yes, that's right, Auntie Rashmi. And in Tamogun, ignorance.
हाँ, उसमें ज्ञान ही नहीं रहता कि अच्छा क्या है बुरा क्या है.
That's right. Yeah, ज्ञान ही नहीं है कि क्या हो रहा है. Complete delusion.
हाँ.
Thank you. Thank you. So we can see that Sattvagun leads to happiness, Rajogun, passion leads to distress, and ignorance leads to delusion. Okay. Can you just give me a moment, please? Just one moment.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you. Natasya kaschedayita pratipo.
Natasya kaschit pratipah.
Nagyati bandhur na paro na cha swaha.
Nagyati bandhu na paro.
Samasya sarvatra niranjanasya
Samasya sarvatra niranjana
Sukhena raga kuta eva roshaha.
Sukhena raga kutaha eva roshaha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is equally disposed toward all living entities. Therefore, no one is very dear to him, and no one is a great enemy for him. No one is his friend, and no one is his relative. Being unattached to the material world, he has no affection for so called happiness or hatred for so called distress. The two terms happiness and distress are relative. Since the Lord is always happy, for him there is no question of distress. So the Lord is always transcendental. He has created the modes. He's created this goodness, passion, ignorance, goodness, happiness, distress with passion, delusion with ignorance, but he's not affected by it. He's Atmaram. He's not attached to the material energy. She is a separated energy. He does not personally associate with the material energy. He himself is in the spiritual world. So for Krishna, he's equal to everyone because everyone, each and every living entity is his child. Like a father is going to be equal to all his children. But there may be some children who want to be more with the father. Then automatically the father spends more time with them. So Krishna takes personal charge of the devotees because they want to personally be with him. But otherwise, he's equal to everyone. So one may say, well, but he kills. But then when he kills, he also gives them liberation. Otherwise, it's so difficult to get liberation. Not ordinary people can get liberation. So we can see that how he is equal. Even in Bhagavad Gita, he says he's equal. Tathapi tacchati visarga esham
तदापि
Tathapi tacchati visarga esha
sukhaya dukkhaya hitaya
सुखाय
Sukhaya
दुःखाय
dukhaya hita
हिताय
ahitaya
bandaya mokshaya chamrityu janmanoho
बन्धाय
Bandhaya
मोक्षाय च
mokshaya te mrityu
जन्मनो
janmo
sharirinam samsritaye vikalpate.
शरीरवीणां
Sharirinaam
संस्मृत्ये
samsatre
अवकल्पते
avakalpate.
Although the Supreme Lord is unattached to our happiness and distress according to karma, and although no one is his enemy or favorite, he creates pious and impious activities through the agency of his material potency. Thus, for the continuation of the materialistic way of life, he creates happiness and distress, good fortune and bad, bondage and liberation, birth and death. So Krishna doesn't want us to be happy or want us to be sad. He wants us to get out of this material world. He wants us to be eternally happy. He wants us to come back home. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate doer of everything, in his original transcendental existence, he is not responsible for the happiness and distress, or bondage and liberation of the conditioned souls. So this is our desire to enjoy the material world. So that's the reason we are put here. Then we have birth and death. If one has desire to go to the spiritual world and one acts according to the instructions given by the devotees, then one reaches the spiritual world. So these are due to the results of the fruitive activities of the living entities within this material world. By the order of a judge, one person is released from jail and another is imprisoned. But the judge is not responsible for the distress and happiness of these different people. is due for the happiness and distress of these different people is due to their own activities. So the judge is giving somebody jail, and the judge is somebody giving some compensation to somebody. But you see, the judge is just giving this verdict according to what they have done. Somebody has stolen, that's why he's gone to jail. He can't say, the judge, oh, you are the cause of me going to jail. No, the cause was because he did some bad deed. And somebody got a compensation for some reason because he was in the right, he was not in the wrong. So the judge ruled it in his favor. So it's our actions. We are causing our own happiness, we are causing our own distress. Although the government is ultimately the supreme authority, the justice is administered by the departments of the government, and the government is not responsible for the individual judgments. Therefore, the government is equal to all the citizens. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is neutral to everyone. But for the maintenance of law and order, his supreme government has various departments which control the activities of the living entities. So Prabhupada is giving the example here. The government is there, the laws are made by the government, then the government appoints these different courts and judges and, to maintain the law and order. So another example given in this regard is that lilies open or close because of the sunshine, and thus the bumblebees enjoy or suffer. But the sunshine and the sun globe are not responsible for the happiness and distress of the bumblebees. So Prabhupada is giving another example here. Lilies, depending on whether sun is out or no, because of the sunshine, the lilies are opening or closing, and the bumblebees are going inside the lily. So if the sun, so then Prabhupada is saying, it's not that the sunshine is responsible if the bee is not getting to enjoy the honey. It's not the sun, it's the bumblebee. Where is it, Is that okay?
So it is just an example, like how,
Yeah.
why the distress, right? About the distress, that nobody is responsible for your distress.
Yeah, we are ourselves responsible. We are always
Okay.
pointing fingers at others.
Hmm,
Oh,
hmm,
because
hmm.
of you, because of you. But here, Chitraketu is understood. No, it's because of our own doing,
Yes.
It's our own self. Atha prasadayena tvam
Atha
अथ
prasadaya
प्रसादेन त्वां
chapa mokshaya bhamini
शापमोक्षाय
bhamini
भामिने
yan manyase hi asadhuktam
yanmanyase
यद्मनस्ते हि
asadhu
असाधु उक्तम्
mama tacham yatam sate.
मम
aksham satam
तत्तशक्ष्यतामसते.
sati.
Oh, mother, you are now unnecessarily angry. But since all my happiness and distress are destined by my past activities, I do not plead to be excused or relieved from your curse. Although what I have said is not wrong, please let whatever you think is wrong be pardoned. Being fully aware of how the results of one's karma accrue by the laws of nature, Chitraketu did not want to be released from Parvati's curse. Nonetheless, he wanted to satisfy her, because although his verdict was natural, she was displeased with him. As a matter of course, Maharaj Chitraketu begged pardon from Parvati. So although he's saying that I'm getting this curse because it's due to my own past um, action, because of that I have to suffer. I don't hold you responsible for it, but I have somehow or the other, I have made you angry, and I'm sorry about that. So he's asking for forgiveness for that. Questions, comments? It's all okay?
Yeah, all okay.
Okay. Shishuka Vacha
Shishuka
श्रीशुक
uvacha
उवाच
iti prasadya girisho
Iti
इति
prasada
प्रसाद
girisho
गिरीशो
Chitraketur Arindama
चित्रकेतु
चित्रकेतुः
अरिन्दम
अरिन्दमः
Jagama Swavimanena
जगाम
जगाम
स्वविमानिनम्
स्वविमानेन
Pashyatosma Yatostayo.
पश्यतो
पश्यतो
यतो
स्म यतो
तयोः
तयो
Sri Sukadev Goswami continued, O King Parikshit, subduer of the enemy, after Chitraketu satisfied Lord Shiva and his wife Pārvatī, he boarded his airplane and left as they looked on. When Lord Shiva and Pārvatī saw that Chitraketu, although informed of the curse, was unafraid, they smiled, being fully astonished by his behavior. So, Tatastu Bhagavan Rudro.
ततस्तु भगवान्
ततस्तु भगवान्
रुद्रो
रुद्रो
Rudranim idam abravir.
रुद्राणि
रुद्राणि
इदम्
इदं
अब्रवीत् ब्रवीत्
Devarshi Daitya Siddhanam
देवर्षि दैत्य
देवर्षिदेवसिद्धानां
सिद्धानां
Parshadhanam cha Shinvatam.
पार्षदानां
पार्षदानां शृण्वताम्
शृण्वताम्
Thereafter, in the presence of the great sage Nara, the demons, the inhabitants of Siddhalok, and his personal associates, Lord Shiva, who is most powerful, spoke to his wife Parvati while they all listened. So Lord Shiva and Parvati Devi smiled, and now Lord Shiva is going to speak. Shri Rudra Vacha
श्रीरुद्र उवाच
Drishtavati Asi Shushroni
दृष्टवत्सु
दृष्टवती
शुश्रोणि
अस्ति शृणोमि
Harer Adbhuta Karmanaha
हरे अद्भुत कर्मणा
Mahatmyam Bhritya Bhrityanam
माहात्म्य भृत्यानां
Nisprahanam Mahatmanam.
निःस्पृहाणां महात्मनां
Lord Shiva said, My dear beautiful Parvati, have you seen the greatness of the Vaishnavas? Being servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, they are great souls and are not interested in any kind of material happiness. Lord Shiva, the husband of Parvati, told his wife, My dear Parvati, you are very beautiful in your bodily features. Certainly, you are glorious. But I do not think that you can compete with the beauty and glory of devotees who have become servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, Lord Shiva smiled when he joked with his wife in that way, for others cannot speak like that. So he's joking with his wife. We can't, Durga Devi, great personality. But then Lord Shiva is joking that you're so beautiful, but the Vaishnavas are more beautiful. They are the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. The Supreme Lord Shiva, continued, is always exalted in his activities. And here is another example of his wonderful influence upon King Chitraketu, his devotee. Just see, although you cursed the king, he was not at all afraid or sorry. Rather, he offered respect to you, called you mother, and accepted your curse, thinking himself faulty. He did not say anything in retaliation. This is the excellence of a devotee. By mildly tolerating your curse, he has certainly excelled the glory of your beauty and your power to curse him. I can impartially judge that this devotee Chitraketu has defeated you and your excellence simply by becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. So here Lord Shiva is glorifying Chitraketu, that Chitraketu was able to tolerate. Not only he tolerated, he did not get angry at Mother Parvati. He did not get upset. He's in fact giving her great respect. He's calling her mother. He's asking for forgiveness. And he's saying, yes, it's all my fault. You know, so his character, the character of the pure devotee, that is what is so attractive. It's certainly a very attractive quality, to be so tolerant, so humble, attracts everyone's heart. So he has attracted Lord Shiva's heart, we can see. That's why Lord Shiva is saying he has defeated you and your excellence simply by becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. As stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Taror api sahisnuna, just like a tree, a devotee can tolerate all kinds of curses and reversals in life. This is the excellence of a devotee. Indirectly, Lord Shiva forbade Pārvatī to commit the mistake of cursing a devotee like Chitraketu. He indicated that although she was powerful, the king, without showing any power, had excelled her power by his tolerance. So Lord Shiva is saying here, Prabhupada is explaining that because Chitraketu tolerated, his qualities are being more glorious because Pārvatī got agitated, whereas Chitraketu is being tolerant. Just like we see in the case of, Ambarish and Durvasa, there was no fault on Ambarish's part, but he was completely tolerant and Durvasa was getting angry. We can't actually say that example because here, of course, it was a different situation. Here, Lord Shiva is involved, Pārvatī Devi is involved, but yes, Lord Shiva is, telling Pārvatī Devi that because he tolerated, he's become more powerful than you. So we can see that if the devotees have such beautiful qualities, what to speak about the Lord? He has these beautiful qualities unlimitedly, Narayana Parasarve.
Narayana Paraha Sarve
Na Kutaschana Bhibyati.
Na Kutaschanya Vibhyati
Swarga Apavarga Narakesha.
Swargah Apvarga Narakeshu
Api Tulyartha Darshinaha.
Api Tulya Artha Darshinaha.
Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same, for such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. Pārvatī might naturally have inquired how devotees become so exalted. Therefore, this verse explains that they are Narayana Para, simply dependent on Narayan. They do not mind reverses in life because in the service of Narayan, they have learned to tolerate whatever hardships there may be. So completely depending on the will of the Lord. The devotee understands that Krishna is my best friend. Whatever he's going to do is the best for me. And so they tolerate whatever situations come. If it's suffering, they take the blame. It's my past state. If there is happiness, they are grateful to Krishna that you're encouraging me, although I don't deserve it. So we can learn so much from the devotees that they're tolerating whatever hardship comes. They do not care whether they are in heaven or in hell. They simply engage in the service of the Lord. This is their excellence. So the devotee, wherever he goes, he's always hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Whether he's in hell, whether he's in heaven, wherever he's going, he's always singing and chanting the glories of the Lord. For example, we can see Narad Muni. No matter where he goes, he's always singing Narayan, glories of Narayan. So this is their excellence. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. They are liberally engaged in the service of the Lord, and therefore they are excellent. By using the word Bhritya Bhrityanam, Lord Shiva pointed out that although Chitraketu provided one example of tolerance and excellence, all the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord as eternal servants are glorious. They have no eagerness to be happy by being placed in the heavenly planets, becoming liberated, or becoming one with Brahman, the supreme effulgence. These benefits do not appeal to their minds. They are simply interested in giving direct service to the Lord. So a devotee does not care. He does not say, send me to heaven because I want to enjoy there. Devotee does not say, let me go into the Brahman. I'm going to be peaceful there. No, what devotee wants? Personal service of the Lord. He wants to personally serve the Lord, personally associate with the Lord. The child, he's always wants to be with the mother. He doesn't care for anything. You know, you put a child in a very nice 5-star without the mother, the child will cry. He'll say, no, give me mother. I want mother. So the devotee is like that, always wanting to be with the Lord, wanting to give direct service to the Lord. And the devotee is Narayana Parayana Para because he understands that Krishna is my best friend. Whatever Krishna is going to do for me is the best for me. I'm just an instrument in the hands of Krishna. Krishna says to Arjuna, become nimitta matra bhava savya sachi. He says, become an instrument in my hand. So the devotee, the pure devotee, he becomes an instrument in the hand of Krishna. Make me dance, as Srila Prabhupada says in his letter on Jaladuta, that make me dance as you wish, my dear Krishna. Dehinam deha samyoga
Tehinam deha sanyogat
dvandanishvara leelaya
dvandadane ishvara leelaya
sukham dukham ritir janma
sukham dukkham riti janma
shapo nugraha evacha.
shapa anugraha eva cha.
Because of the actions of the Supreme Lord's external energy, the living entities are conditioned in contact with material bodies. The dualities of happiness and distress, birth and death, curses and favors are natural byproducts of this contact in the material world. In Bhagavad Gita, we find Mayadhyakshena Prakritihi Suyate Sacharacharam. The material world works under the direction of the goddess Durga, the material energy of the Lord. But she acts under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Durga Devi, she is controlling this material world, but she's following Krishna's orders. He is the real controller because the rules are made by him. She's working under his direction, like the CEO will give the rules to the general manager, and that's how he will manage the company. So Durga Devi is she's managing this material world based on the rules given by the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed in Brahma Samhita 544. Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Reka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga. Durga, the goddess Pārvatī, the wife of Lord Shiva, is extremely powerful. She can create, maintain, and annihilate any number of universes by her sweet will, but she acts under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, not independently. So she gets her power from Krishna. Krishna has entrusted her. Okay, you can do this. Okay, you do like this, like this, like this. And she acts according to what Krishna says. Krishna is impartial, but because this is the material world of duality, such relative terms as happiness and distress, curses and favors are created by the will of the Supreme. So the laws of the material world are created by the Supreme Lord. Those who are not Narayana Para, pure devotees, must be disturbed by this duality of the material world. Whereas devotees who are simply attached to the service of the Lord are not at all disturbed by it. So Prabhupada is explaining that the common man is disturbed, happiness, distress, honor, dishonor, victory, defeat. But the pure devotee, he is not concerned. He's attached to the service of the Lord. So we can see that the attachment because attachment, we have attachment. Now we just have to see what we are attached to, or how we need to change our attachment. We are attached to the material world. We are attached to honor, dishonor, happiness, distress. We simply need to change this attachment to Krishna, to devotional service, to hearing and chanting about Krishna. So, for example, Haridas Thakur was beaten with cane in 22 bazaars, but he was never disturbed. Instead, he smilingly tolerated the beating. Despite the disturbing dualities of the material world, devotees are not disturbed at all because they fix their minds on the lotus feet of the Lord and concentrate on the holy name of the Lord. They do not feel the so-called pains and pleasures caused by the dualities of this material world. So the devotee, he's so absorbed in Krishna. He's so absorbed in hearing and chanting about Krishna. He's so absorbed in worshipping Krishna, worshipping the devotees. He's so absorbed in remembering Krishna, serving the devotees. I mean, worshipping the deity and serving the devotees. So he's so absorbed in devotional service that what's happening externally, happiness is coming or distress is coming, he's not bothered by it much. He's not attached to it. He just understands that that's the nature of the world. So his attachment is to Krishna. And see that. So we can see that how we need to change our attachment. We are so attached to the material world, whereas a pure devotee, he's attached to Krishna, to devotional service. So the more we hear and the more we chant, the more we associate with the devotees, we can also be similarly attached. So we'll stop here for today.
Yes,
Is that
okay. Yeah,
Oh,
yes, okay.
thank you so much. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.